Hi, I'm Mike from Autistic AF. I had such a good time going through my own comments a few days ago, I've decided to take over someone else's channel and have a shifty through theirs. Come with me, let's see what skeletons Quinn's got hidden away. Oh no, he's onto us, he's onto us! I've got you, Quinn, come on.
Mind yourself, Paula. Right, that's it. Normal service is resumed. I'm Quinn, and I'm autistic. Welcome to the first ever Autistamatic comments response video. Yes, it's that comments video I threatened you all with a few weeks ago. I've responded to the odd comment and question here and there over the nearly 6 years since I started doing this, but I've never actually just gone through a bunch of comments and picked out the interesting ones. Regular viewers will know that the channel was quiet for a while whilst I went through some personal changes, much of which I talked about in the Autism Change series I'll link above. So I've decided that for now at least, I'll stick to the videos I've made since that series finished. Starting with, is your best friend autistic? Now, this comment leads me to an apology in advance. Not because of your comment, but because I stand a good chance of mispronouncing your name. Do correct me if I'm wrong, Iron Cop. Having an autistic best friend is a good sign you're autistic yourself. I couldn't agree more there, Iron. I said near the beginning of that video. I'm Quinn, and I've been a few people's autistic best friend over the years. And a couple of those old friends went on to be diagnosed as autistic, ADHD, or both. It's a common pattern simply because at this point in time, it's still not commonplace for neurotypical folks to even know how to make the compromises necessary to make an autistic friendship work to its full potential, let alone willing. There's a lot more to be said on the subject of autistic friendship, so watch this space. It's an observation a few people made in one way or another. Henry Holden said that since his autism came to light, lots of his friends are obtaining or opening up about their diagnoses too. Perhaps the best summing up from my verbal thinker's perspective was from Redweed 4018. If you are autistic, the friends and relationships you have made over your life that have been the strongest, had the easiest rapport, and you had the easiest communication with, the chances are those people are also autistic, have ADHD, or both. I think that's true for an awful lot of us. Obviously, there's always exceptions, like my wife, for example. I've never had such a supportive or rewarding relationship of any kind, and she's not neurodivergent. But most of the closest friendships I've had are and were with neurodivergent folks. Let's move back to the week before now with Is Autism Like Living an Exaggerated Existence?, where I talked a lot about the power of words and the need for clarity when communicating with autistic folks like myself. We had some good ones here, but I'd like to pick up on this question from Mark Walton first. He asks at the bottom there, what would my reaction be if somebody said, you place too much importance on words and that gives you a tendency to get lost in words. Make action, not words, your main focus. Well, Mark, that kind of illustrates the dilemmas talked about in that video. There's not enough context in your question to be able to answer. I have queries of my own that need answers before I even know what the question really means. Is this from someone trying to rush me into making a rash decision because they're impatient, or they don't care if I mess it up? Maybe they actually want me to fail. Or perhaps it's someone with good intentions but little understanding who genuinely thinks they're helping. As autistic folks, we find ourselves facing dilemmas like that every day. And there just isn't a quick and easy answer. It's one of those that probably would need to be role-played out in different scenarios to know the best answer, and as every autist knows, doing that in real time is a pretty tough challenge. Rebecca May suggested that Amplified is a good alternative to exaggerated. Dan Boyle mentioned heightened, and Lost Boy came up with uncompressed, all of which I think work well, especially to describe sensory or emotional tenderness. The trouble is, as all of us here know already, summing up the autistic experience isn't easy or quick, but we're so frequently under pressure to do just that. So we need a stock of words and phrases we can pull out quickly to get the most important details across to halt the onslaught. Unfortunately, we so rarely get the chance to restart that conversation again later in better circumstances, so we can colour that initial understanding with detail and nuance. Perhaps the best comment on that video overall is also the most cryptic. According to Pretty Puppy 6752, I have an obsession with silly old men in aprons, and I keep signalling to them. Apparently, whatever they're seeing is obvious, and they're certain that it can't be a stim. They express with conviction their absolute certainty that I know what they're pointing out to me, that I must be doing them deliberately, and expresses some theories as to what those reasons might be. Unfortunately, they haven't been very forthcoming about what those gestures might be, but they do seem very concerned about not only my well-being, but that of all of you too. Which is very sweet, don't you think? Now, I'll have deleted that comment by the time this video goes up because I know some of you might want to explain the misunderstanding and, well, I'm an old softy at heart and I don't like watching fights on my doorstep. But if anyone has any idea what she's on about, write your answers down on a postcard or the back of a stuck-down envelope and send them to What the Blazes is all that about? Autistamatic Centre, Woody Lane, Landybum, W12 HQT. Or don't. But seriously, have you any idea? I looked it up and I'm stumped. The next one is a bit darker, but darkness is a part of all our lives, so I'll include it, but I'm going to have to censor one word verbally because the YouTube algorithm gets a bit tetchy about it. Mr. Martin says, I'd describe autism with the word Clacton. My hope is it is just me, but sensibility tells me it ain't. Well, I mean it when I say thanks for your comment, Mr. Martin. And don't let the necessary verbal diversion distract from the seriousness of what you're saying. Sadly, the truth of the matter is, you're right. You're not alone in thinking that, and I know from the countless conversations I've had with other autistic folks over the last 40 years that most of us feel this way at some point. I know I have more than once, but one thing has always stuck at the back of my mind whenever such thoughts plague me, and it's been the deciding factor in some of the better decisions in my life. Jean-Paul Sartre's immortal quote, "L'enfer c'est les autres," or Clacton is other people. I can't speak for you, Mr. Martin. I wouldn't dream of doing so, but I can say for myself and the majority of the autists I've broken bread with that most of the difficulties we can blame on being autistic only really show up when other people enter the mix. Either way, that's what we're here to change. Creators like Mike and I, or the advocates, activists and campaigners have a lot of work ahead of us. All of you watching this will be doing your part too, trying to build bridges and demolish barriers where you can, voting for candidates who best represent you and setting the example we want people to follow. I may be long gone by the time we get to where we want to be, but we'll all play our part in getting us there. The Cookie Joe appears to be either another verbal processor or someone with a similar synesthetic relationship with language as myself, and offers an interesting alternative take on how words I mentioned in the video feel to them. Thanks for that, Cookie Joe. I love reading comments like that. The last one I'll highlight on this video is one from RoboKill387, who pointed out that I described the difference between the denotion and connotation of words. As I said in my brief reply to them, that's right, but it is only part of the story. I'm a verbal thinker, and so language is my main problem-solving tool. Both literal and inferred meanings are an important part of the conscious cognitive element of these, but what I tried to describe, albeit very briefly, was the synesthetic aspect within my own variety of verbal reasoning. I know I'm not alone in the kind of synesthetic experience I alluded to, and I'd like to talk about it in more detail at a later date. The comments on that video suggest quite a few people recognise themselves in what I described. Finally, we're looking at Rishi Sunak makes people feel autistic, in which I argued that politicians like Mr. Sunak, our now ex-Prime Minister, have of late made increasingly odd, counterproductive decisions and nonsensical announcements which give the general public a taste of the confusion autistic folks experience with pretty much everyone we meet. A few people missed the point, but it was lovely to see other viewers kindly and respectfully explaining what the intention of the piece was. I'd much rather see that kind of gentle correction in my comments than jumping down people's throats immediately. This video itself invited its fair share of racist dog whistles, which I've chosen to leave in place in some cases. I do remove comments sometimes, but I don't see why I should go cleaning up after racists so they can deny their moral inadequacy later. If they want to hide their shame, let them do it themselves. This one I've not removed, because I honestly don't have the foggiest what they're getting at. Again, answers on a postcard, please. A fictional one, of course. There was one comment that stood out to me on that one, though, from Stoicism, who was diagnosed about 14 months ago. Their analogy of autistic life being like playing a game that everyone but us seems to know the rules to is one every autist can relate to, I think, even those who did grow up in a supportive and nurturing home. Once we hit the outside world, the rules we were taught seem to no longer apply. In fact, it starts to look very much like other people are making the rules up as they go along. Get to my stage in life, and I realise that there are rules, but they're written in invisible ink on the pages of a 1,000-volume cross-reference encyclopedia, and every single individual has their own, slightly different copy. My job here is to help us all to decode enough of those encyclopedias to make sense of life. And on that note, it's about time I stopped dissecting your thoughts and got on with writing down some of my own for the next Autistamatic video. I'm Quinn, and I'm autistic. Thank you for watching. If you've already liked and subscribed and would like to support the channel more, then please follow the Patreon links in the description to pledge what you feel is fair and affordable to help keep the lights on here and the content keep flowing.
You haven't heard The Last of Us, Dexter.